All of you in your testimony. You've been there a long time. There's a lot of questions. You've gone through a lot of different issues. I apologize. I had to be able to run in and out real quick. Mr. Pappas, I want to be able to follow up on a couple of things real quick. You've answered a lot on China. Obviously, it's been a big issue. You know that. It's not like you went to TikTok and were shocked. There were issues with China and the possibility there. There are a couple of questions that have come up recently on this. One of them is the ability for TikTok to be able to track keystrokes after you leave the app. To be able to be on the app, click a link to be able to go to another site and be able to track keystrokes. Is that a part of the app's design that you can do that?
No, it's not.
So that is not used because it's been widely reported that is part of the app currently in its structure. Has it been part of the app and has recently been taken off? Or
the keystrokes one, to my knowledge, was basically an anti-spam measure, and so that was never collecting the content of what was being typed.
Was there an ability, though, to be able to track keystrokes on it after, as you're on the app, click on a link to be able to go to another page to be able to track
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, we'll follow up on that. Don't believe so on it. The other one is you still have offices all over the world, as you mentioned. A lot of your offices are in Singapore. The original development of TikTok, it's my understanding it came from ByteDance. It was a Chinese development originally, and then it spread all over the world, correct?
Yes, it was originally developed by the parent company ByteDance, but also Musically, the app, and the two were combined. But currently, and for a while now, there have been separate apps, separate codes, separate servers, and so on.
Are any of the developers that still work on the design still based in China in your Chinese office?
Yes, we've said that we have engineers in China, correct.
Well, that'll be one of the conversations we'll have in the days ahead to be able to follow up on what those access points are. There's an obvious consideration here with this committee and with others on national security issues. It's just well known that China has as a part of their law, they get access to anything that's with technology. And for China to have the possibility to have access to 100 million Americans, including most of our young people, that's an issue for us, and it's reasonable for us to ask hard questions.
We understand that concern, and I appreciate your question, Senator, which is why we're investing heavily in ensuring strict access controls, and we're working with Oracle. We recently announced that 100% of our user data is now stored in Oracle's cloud infrastructure, and we've further said that they will be vetting and validating our content moderation and recommendation systems. We really are committed to transparency and security on these top-line issues, and we're happy to provide further information.
Great. We'll continue to be able to follow up. Mr. Cox, thank you as well for being here, as for all of you in this conversation. I have a couple of questions here. One is dealing with the experts, as you mentioned in your testimony as well, that are actually helping with the fact-checking process. We did a little bit of digging in some of this, and obviously you've got a diverse group of nonprofits and think tanks and other folks that help with some of the experts in fact-checking, but there's also some that make us scratch our head a little bit on it. There was one of the groups that was dealing with coronavirus and some of the fact-checking early on that. That was actually a group of journalists. As we went through and looked at some of the credentials and all in which they were public on all these individuals, thanks for the transparency on that, none of them were medical professionals on it. So the challenge is, and not to be pejorative on journalists, but I don't run into a lot of conservative journalists. There are a few out there. The consistent fear is that conservative voices are silenced. And when I look at some of the groups that actually do the fact-checking, I don't find a lot of conservative groups that do this. Ms. Pappas, on the same kind of issue, as I go through for TikTok, they list as one of the fact-checking groups or their experts that are out there, the Southern Poverty Law Center is one of the places they go. Well, the Southern Poverty Law Center is considered the Family Research Council and the Alliance Defending Freedom, which are just pro-family groups and religious freedom groups, as hate groups. So if TikTok is dependent on the Southern Poverty Law Center to be able to find what's a hate group, the Family Policy Council is a hate group suddenly on TikTok. So the question is, how do you develop your expert groups? How do you make sure that they're actually balanced and that the advice you're getting on what that looks like is actually fair? Mr. Cox, you want to jump in first on the meta side?
Yes, I'd be happy to, Senator. So just on the issue of misinformation, we know that people don't want misinformation on the platform, and that's why we've developed a program to work with independent fact-checkers that are certified by the IFCN, which is an independent fact-checking network.
How do you make sure it's a balanced perspective philosophically?
I know that the IFCN has specific policies around looking for balance. I also know that there are folks on both sides of the aisle who are members of that network.
I would only say, how do you make sure it's balanced, not that organization make sure it's balanced? Because again, there is a perception, and I would tell you, I understand their perception because I have a lot of conservative organizations, churches, faith-based nonprofits, all kinds of entities that reach out to my office at home and here, and they'll reach out to me and say, I just got blocked from Facebook. We're trying to figure out why. They're not terrorist organizations, they're not violent, they're not anything else, they just got blocked. And they're trying to figure out if it's conservative ideology is the reason why. And so what I'm trying to figure out is who fact checks the fact checkers for you to be able to make sure that you're getting a fair perspective on this. You've got millions or billions of pages and entities to be able to track on this. When someone gives you counsel, how do you take advantage of checking that first to make sure it doesn't have a bias?
Senator, on the question of checks and balances among the fact checker network, the system that we've set up allows fact checkers to check each other and resolve disputed claims in that way, and we believe that that helps the system be more fair.
But I guess I'm asking still the same question. How do you make sure that that perspective is balanced? That it's not all fact checkers that think alike?
Senator, ultimately, we believe that our platform is best for people when it can be a place for all voices and for all political points of view.
I agree.
That's in our interests, and that's in the interests, we believe, of the nation.
By the way, 100% agree. I'm trying to say to you it's not. That there are entities that really believe their voices are being blocked out, and that the individuals that are fact-checking them have a bias against them politically, not necessarily for violence or something else. And so that is part of the challenge here that I would challenge you on that. And for all of us to be able to make sure it's going to be fair and balanced on that. Let me move on to a couple other issues. Mr. Chairman, do I have an extra minute here I can go on it? Thank you for that. I have two quick other things that I want to be able to address. In Meta's terms of service, you state in your terms of service 3.2.1, you may not use our products to do or share anything that is unlawful, misleading, discriminatory, or fraudulent, or assist someone else in using our products in such a way. But you also have stated as Meta, we prohibit content that offers to provide or facilitate human smuggling, which includes advertising a human smuggling service, but we do allow people to share information about how to enter the country illegally or request information about how to be smuggled. Now, I'm trying to align those two, where you say you can't use our platform for any illegal activity, promoting illegal activity, facilitating that, unless you're illegally crossing our border. Then we're going to facilitate the use of our platform, in fact, has been excessively used to facilitate connecting with the cartels and the traffickers to be able to facilitate illegally crossing our southern border. Help me understand between those two, which one is correct?
Senator, we've been working with law enforcement for a while now on the very serious issue of human trafficking across our borders. We have folks at the company who specifically speak to law enforcement and border officials to make sure we have an up-to-date list of which cartels that we can use in order to fan out our systems and make sure we take them down. We have policies against human trafficking, and we have policies against those cartels to make sure that we're able to remove them as soon as they pop up.
But this is a meta statement that you said, we allow people to share information about how to enter the country illegally or request information about how to be smuggled. That is allowed already based on Meta's policy, but you also say we don't allow you to use this for illegal activity. That's what I'm trying to figure out is you either allow for illegal activity or you don't allow for illegal activity, but you look like you're trying to do both. We don't like smuggling, but we're facilitating people illegally coming into the country.
Senator, the policy here, as I understand it, is specifically about human trafficking and cartel networks that are facilitating illegal trafficking of people. I'd be happy to follow up with you on this.
Let's do. There's not a person that crosses our southern border into the United States that doesn't pay the cartel. As our Border Patrol will tell you, the border is secure. It's secure on the south side. When I was in McAllen, Texas, a couple of months ago, they said in that area, the cartels just in that area make $153 million a week trafficking people across the border. Many of those meet up with those people that are moving them across the border illegally through a Facebook platform. So that's a big issue to me, and it seems like Meta is being inconsistent in their terms of service about illegal activity. My last comment on this, and I really will make it my last comment, and I really do appreciate the time on it. I have for years, gone back to Facebook and said, I have all kinds of constituents at home that say to me, I would comment to you on your page, except when I comment, I get just ruthlessly attacked by people that politically disagree. And they click the angry button, they yell at them, they say all kinds of mean things to them when they comment on my page, so they just don't comment. And what's happened is political Facebook pages, and that's for everyone here, both sides of the aisle, have become places for anger and aggression. When you disagree, you go attack people that comment, that like someone politically, you go attack them instead. So what I've asked Facebook for years is, allow those of us that we know our pages are places where there's wide disagreement to be able to have the option to say, you can comment to me, but you can't attack the people that comment to me. We can have dialogue and interaction, but you can't have this angry interaction with each other on the page. Give us the option to turn that off so we see comments, we can respond back to people and have that dialogue and interaction, but you turn down the volume. What I've heard year after year from Facebook is, that's not really what we do. What we do is interaction, but everyone knows the interaction there is angry, bitter, aggressive interaction. That's not healthy. So my request again to Facebook, which we've done in writing and in follow-up and in conversation, is you have the ability to turn down the volume to be able to have fewer angry emojis flying at people by allowing that interaction. Please do.
Thank you,
Mr.
Senator